And so he made the decision with my mom that they would take their 4 young sons, I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and we would become part of a church. They said, well, we need to get some moral and religious instruction for these little guys. And so they joined the church, and my dad, because he had this incredible work ethic, they asked him if he would go to work. Well, he, I guess, thought that must be what it means to be a good Christian, so he responded to the challenges. So by the time my dad was 40 years of age, he was the top layman in the church. I was in the 10th grade. My youngest brother was in the 3rd grade. But our church did not also have a vision to disciple my dad, assist him to disciple my dad to be a godly man, a godly husband, and a godly father. And so something happened in the church. He just got burned out. And we left the church. As I said, I was in the 10th grade, and I'm telling you, men, as a result of that, our family was hit with such a force that we have never really fully recovered from it. At the time, we were doing pretty well as a family, but I quit high school in the middle of my senior year, and Dad maybe joined the Army. He wasn't going to let me hang around the house, but so I was out of there. And then my next brother, Robert, he followed in my footsteps. He quit high school. He eventually died of a heroin overdose. My next 2 brothers have struggled all of their lives with substance abuse and employment problems, and my dad just never saw it coming. He just never saw it coming. And, you know, if he was here right now, he would say, well, you know, I made that decision, and I take full responsibility for that decision. And, you know, you've got to love it. More men need to take more responsibility, not less, right? But I would just submit to you that the church is culpable in what happened in my family. My dad, if you look around the bend of that decision, my dad couldn't see around the bend of that decision. He didn't know what was going to happen. But the church did know or should have known. And the church has a responsibility to disciple men so that the wheels don't come off the wagon. And so why am I here? Well, I'm here because I will never know what it would be like to have grown up in a home where my father understood how to be a dad to me and a mentor to me. And it didn't work out for him. You know, we look at his sons. I'm not quite sure how I received the grace to break the cycle, but I did. Now, this story has a little bit of it sounds pretty depressing at this point. Actually, it is pretty depressing at this point, right? So this is a picture of my dad. He's the little guy in the lower left-hand corner when he was about a little over 2 years of age. And as you can see, no dad in the picture. This second picture, this is a picture of me when I was about the same age as my dad was in the first picture, and that's my dad. And look at that sweet face. This is not a man this is a man who was going to church for all the right reasons. He was there because he wanted to break the cycle. He wanted to do something different. The driving motive of my father's life was to not be like his dad, to not have the kind of result that his dad had. But it just didn't work out. Although he did have a beautiful 54-year marriage to my mom. They're both deceased now. This final picture is a picture of me with my son when my son is about the same age as I am in the top right picture, my dad in the top left. And my son and my daughter, they have given me permission to tell you that they can never remember a time when they didn't love Christ. And now they're both having children of their own, and you just see this beautiful thing. And my family lineage has been set on a whole new vector because of the gospel of Jesus. And how did that happen? My wife led me to Christ. God graciously grafted the gospel back into my family line through my wife's family line. She's the one that led me to Christ. And then it does have a happy ending. I was able to go back and lead my parents, both my mom and my dad, to Christ, back to Christ, I'm not sure. But anyway, they both made deathbed professions of faith. My brother, who's deceased, has received the Lord not too long before he died. And he was pretty well messed up, psychologically damaged goods. But he did receive the Lord, and he really understood what he did. And another brother has received the Lord. I have one who's kind of a holdout. So, Dad, we did break this cycle. And the reason that I'm here and that I'm so passionate about men's discipleship is because I know that in every one of your churches, you have men just like my dad. They're there for all the right reasons. No man fails on purpose. None of the men in your church got up this morning and thought to themselves, well, I wonder what I can do today to irritate my wife, neglect my kids, or let my boss down. But they're going to, right? And not only that, I'm also here because I'm pretty sure that all of you have men in your churches, not only like my dad, who are going to pull the plug on church, but you have guys like my grandfather who are going to pull the plug on their families because they have not been discipled to be godly men, godly husbands, and godly fathers. And I'm here because, for the same reason that you're here, because I believe we can change this. And we can change that by having a system to disciple these men. And that's the big idea for this session. And now to finish this session up, I'd like to bring up the president of Man in the Mirror, somebody that I love as my own brother, David Delk. David?